Welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa Caprio. Do you believe in magic? What if you were told that all you had to do was get a little creative and work a magic spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Here on Postcards to the Universe, we will share manifesting, tips, postcards, creativity, abundance, and prosperity. Here is your host, Melisa Caprio.
Hello and welcome to Postcards to the Universe with Melisa, creating the life you crave. How is everyone doing today, this week? I hope you guys are doing well. I have such a wonderful guest today, author Judith E. Pentz, MD, and she's going to join us out here in a few minutes. So just, my usual check-in with y'all. So I'm still feeling like off. I mean, I guess if you guys listen to my show now, you've heard me talk about it. And dealing with whatever's going on, I have had the strangest, oddest symptoms. And Monday I went back to the doctors to get the COVID antibody test. My symptoms have been so weird. So it's today's guest, Judith, is perfect person to actually have on the show. And I know I need her new book, which we're going to talk about. Each week, you guys hear me share my Magic Monday message. And this week's Magic Monday message is a postcard that I photographed with the affirmation, a grand vision. So I ask myself, what is my grand vision for my life? And I've been sidetracked in the last couple of weeks because I'm not feeling myself. So something is going on. And when you aren't feeling your best, it's harder to stay in that positive state of mind. I'm having to really use the tools I have learned not to go down the negative rabbit hole and keep bringing myself around to focus on what is positive and what I can do. And I noticed that this all started really truthfully March 1st. I noticed that my ability to focus is really off. So you guys, I've been telling you that I'm working on my second book and I'm writing, but I haven't really been able to write as much because I can't focus. But I know I'll go back to it when I'm feeling myself again. So what can I do? What can I focus on during this time? And I realized my grand vision is to expand what I'm already doing. My radio show, my podcast, my book, and future books to come. I want to offer manifesting courses and create art for my postcards. There's so much I want to do. I want to sell my book and get more people to listen to the show and spread messages of inspiration and positivity and manifesting and healing. So I realized that I could upload my podcast to YouTube. So that's what I have done. So now you can hear many of the radio shows that are recorded here that I make into podcasts, now also hosted on YouTube. So if you would please go over to YouTube, if you listen to YouTube, and find Postcards to the Universe and subscribe, I would love that. Thank you. It's easy to fall, like I said, into that negative space and get stuck there. And even with all the tools in the world, there are times you just have to take that extra care and remind yourself not to lose your focus for what your grand vision is. So I'm resting a lot, drinking tons of water and listening to my body. And I'm also doing what I can toward my dreams when my energy is high. So I ask you, what is your grand vision for your life? Are you still focusing on that, or have you gotten off track? It's been a tough year with COVID. A lot of us have gotten off track. So I invite you to take the time for yourself every day to think about what it is and do at least one action that you can toward that goal. You can see the Magic Monday messages that I share on my website, postcardstotheuniverse.com, or any of my social media platforms. And join my public Facebook group, Postcards of Love, where I share inspirational stories, love stories, beautiful art, photographs, heartfelt messages. It's just all a space for positivity. So you can join us if you're on Facebook over there and join the group. And if you are looking for an inspirational book, you can please go and check out mine, Postcards to the Universe, Harness the Universe's Power and Manifest Your Dreams. You can find that on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. And my guest today, we're going to be talking about her book. So I mentioned last week, and I'm going to repeat it today, that I have some super exciting news on April 7th. Make sure you join me and tune in because I have Don Miguel Ruiz as my guest, author of The Four Agreements, scheduled. And I am so excited. Like, I'll probably be super nervous. So he's only going to come on for one segment of the show. But I'm really excited, and I'll probably be like really nervous because I've been following him. I don't even know, for when his book, The Four Agreements, came out. That's how long. Next week, I have Michelle Welsh, a self-proclaimed empath, and her first book, The Magic of Connection. She shares working with the energies that connect all people and how instead of cutting energetic cords, we can transmute challenging energies in ways that empower us. So join me for that show. Okay. To get to my amazing guest today, Judith E. Pentz, MD, is a holistic, alternative, and integrative psychiatrist with board certification in child, adolescent, and adult psychiatry. She seeks to combine the best of Western and integrative medicine for support of your mental well-being. The goal is to be as gentle as possible and to stimulate the natural healing mechanisms that we all have in our body. The integrative approach includes the spiritual and emotional part of our well-being, as well as the mental and physical part of our beings. And her book, Cleanse Your Body, Return to Your Soul, was released on August 11th, 2020. It's a prescriptive memoir about her trek to India for ancient ayurvedic cleanse, Panchakarma, that forged her path to her own healing. You can find out more about her if you go to her website, drpentz.com, drpentz.com. Welcome, Judith. Thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited to speak to you and about your book.
Thank you, Melissa. I'm so excited to be here, and I'm welcoming coming back a second time because I spoke to you before the book was published about my ideas around it. So
yes, you did.
Manifesting. I was able to manifest what I needed to.
Exactly. That's before I was on OMTimes, when I was on another radio hosting site. Yeah, you were on my show then. I don't even know how many years that's been now, a couple years now. But God, it was really exciting to talk to you. And I'm so happy that you have your book out now. So, okay, so your book is titled Cleanse Your Body, Reveal Your Soul. Now, a lot of people have never heard the word Panchakarma. So why don't we talk a little bit about what that is first, and then we're going to get into more of how you have found healing medicine, not in Western medicine, but more in Eastern medicine, but how you're helping us integrate it back here to the Western medicine. So what is Panchakarma?
So Panchakarma is a very ancient cleanse that is in the medical field of Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is an East Indian medicine that has been around about 5,000 years, if not longer. And the beauty of Ayurveda is that the information, as well as the protocols that they have available for self-care, as well as management of disease, have a long-standing clinical history that is currently being scientifically recognized in functional medicine and other realms of medicine too. So Panchakarma is this very supportive physical cleanse that help combat chronic disease, but also other health issues that can maybe niggling a person. It is a 5-fold detoxification treatment that involves massage and herbal therapies as well as other procedures. And so it detoxes, it cleanses, it allows for a level of prevention and cure, and also rejuvenation, which is at a level that we all need on this planet at this time.
Oh, God, for sure. For sure, yeah. We definitely need it. And a lot of people are having, I know personally, a lot of people who have chronic illnesses, a lot. So yeah. I really think that this is important. And I do want to mention, and we're going to keep mentioning it, you have a workshop coming up, which could really help people who are listening today, and you're offering something special for them. So if you go to your website, you can see on her website because it's on there. It's called Build a Better Morning, and it's on drpentz.com. And I'm going to take this test actually after the radio show. I want to take the dosha quiz because you have us do, we're going to talk about what a dosha is. But the workshop is what? It's like a mini cleansing? Is that what it is?
No. What it is allowing you to do some self-care interventions that are like mini self-care tools that you can do on a day-to-day basis. And what it is it allows, I will be explaining what the different tools are that are specific to the process, and I'll do demonstrations. And the idea is for you to develop a self-care regimen if you don't have one, and if you do have one, it is to expand on it, to add and allow for this process in terms of self-care to build on and help strengthen you, as well as reducing toxicity that you accumulate day to day.
Yeah, that's perfect for us right now. That's really good. And for those listening, I just want to say, if you're listening and you apply the promo code Postcards 2021, you get a $25 off the course. So thank you so much. If they sign up before May 1st, correct? Just want to make sure I'm getting all the information right. Perfect. That sounds good. Okay, so let's see. All right, so I guess the best thing then would be is the second question, and then we'll go back, is what is a dosha? Because I just mentioned it, and that's part of what you're doing in this workshop, and people are probably like, I don't even know what a dosha is. So go ahead. What's that?
Yeah. So something that's unique for Ayurveda is the way they define our body is through a certain frame of reference. And our body we all have certain constitutions that we're all familiar with. There are those who are thinner, there are those who are more medium in build, and there are those who are maybe more stronger built and stronger and maybe have a tendency towards weight gain. And these doshas we all have as an expression in our body in different ways, and they represent the 5 elements of space and ether. We've got fire and water and earth and air, and all these qualities help make who we are as human beings at a very, very elemental level. And bringing the doshas together, they actually represent, so vata is air and ether, pitta is the second one, and that one is a person that has a mixture of fire and earth, and then the last one is kapha, and that is a person that has a mixture of earth and water. And each quality, we have all of them, but each of us have a certain more expressed than another. For myself, I actually am more what they call pitta, so the more of a fiery type of energy, but I also have some kapha, which is the more earth and grounded energy. And the beauty of this, the dosha quiz actually helps point out what your body constitution is. Now, it's not diagnostic, but it gives you a general idea. I always recommend people see a practitioner or speak to a practitioner about understanding what their dosha is in a deeper way. But this at least gives you a snapshot of what you might be experiencing. And it helps then to guide food choices and also self-care choices to help calm a person down. And so that's the part of the teaching of what I would be sharing with the workshop. But there's many tools that are available online, including other quizzes that you can take to have a better idea of what qualities you are and what dosha you might have. So the dosha helps to define what direction you would think about in terms of supportive interventions and healthcare issues. Okay?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and I know that you've said that you've wondered why in Western medicine people don't heal. And that's something that you focus on in your book. So why do you think that in Western medicine we have such a hard time healing?
So one of the challenges that Western medicine has is that it's very symptom-oriented, and often a person, when they finally present to a clinician, they have relatively advanced physical condition. What Ayurveda can actually do is help us understand that through prevention and food, the type of foods, and lifestyle changes, we can actually create a level of prevention in our health so that the chronic diseases that are so rampant in our culture can actually be either mitigated or reduced substantially, and sometimes even cured if it's caught early enough. So Western medicine tends to treat symptoms and kind of cover up the problem, where Ayurveda actually helps to bring up what the true problems are and ask for you to make some significant lifestyle changes to help you understand that the old way isn't necessarily going to keep you healthy.
And when you went and had your first Panchakarma treatment in India, what year was that? It's been a while now, right?
Yeah. So the book is based on my 2014 Panchakarma. It probably was 2012 or something like that I had my first one there. But I've had it locally, too, and I wanted to point out that you don't have to go to India to do the Panchakarma. You can find local, usually in bigger cities. Albuquerque is an exception because we actually have an Ayurvedic school here, as well as the practitioner that I've worked with, Dr. Joshi. He actually is located here in Albuquerque. So I can actually get Panchakarma here. For me, going to India allowed for a fully, it allowed me to get off the grid and not worry about work and go deeper in my practice. So that's why I went to India.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I was telling Judith before we came on the air that I was looking it up, and there are a couple of places here in Fort Lauderdale that I'm really I saved them, so I'm really interested in this. Okay, we're going to get much deeper into this conversation, but we're up at the time at our first break. So why don't we take our 2-minute break here, Judith, and then when we come back, I want to delve into your book more and about your experience. Stay tuned, guys. Be right back.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes. Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
The rainbow is God's promise of hope for you and me. And though the clouds hang heavy and the sun we cannot see, we know above the dark clouds that fill the stormy sky, hope's rainbow will come shining through when the clouds have drifted by. Teresa Caprio is the president and founder of Rainbow Guardian, Inc., a nonprofit 501c3 serving the intellectually challenged / developmentally disabled, including autism. Teresa started the foundation in 1995 so she could help make a better life for her intellectually challenged daughter. Her dream is that the Rainbow Guardian will provide the necessary tools and education to help the public understand the special needs population, because it's often discarded in mainstream society. To find out more or make a donation in support, please go to www.rainbowguardian.org. Rainbow Guardian's special mission is to see these unique people live a happy, full life and have a future of liberty and equality.
Welcome back. So I have Dr. Judith E. Pentz with her book, Cleanse Your Body, Return Your Soul, on today as my guest. And we're talking about her experience with an ancient practice of Panchakarma. So Judith, when you went, were you having ailments? Were you having some issues that were coming up? Or did you just want to delve deeper into healing?
So if I could just make one correction, Melissa, it's actually
Sure.
Reveal Your Soul. It's Cleanse Your Body, Reveal Your Soul.
Oh, please. Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I have it right in front of me. What did I say? Heal your soul? Reveal.
it's
I have it in
not-
bold right in front of me. Yes, thank you. Reveal your soul.
No, I just want to actually explain the title, because I actually thought about Return to Your Soul, but then I realized it's more about an unveiling that needs to happen. And
Yes.
the more that we have, the more we are able to release the toxin load that we have. So at the physical, the mental, emotional, and spiritual level, we can get closer to our true nature. And
Sure.
that's where Revealing Your Soul, how I ended up coming up with that title, and I just wanted to mention that part.
Yeah.
So anyway, back to, so I was going through my change of life, and I'd had some disturbing information that I had potentially some ovarian shifts, including possibility of ovarian cancer at one point. And so I went to get, the follow-ups that needed to happen, but I also decided I needed to do an integrative approach. And so Dr. Dosha, actually, his wife is also a clinician and is an ayurvedic gynecologist. So I asked her for support. And so with her support, we actually started on an herbal regimen before I actually went into that particular Panchakarma phase, and was on that herbal regimen for about 2 or 3 months. And then I did the Panchakarma. And between the combinations, as well as other lifestyle changes and slowing down in terms of my work, I found that I moved past the concern, and that any numbers or any worries around that actually diminished, and I never had to, I never needed any further follow-up. So, and so it was a wake-up call, because I had had some experience with the process, but it wasn't that committed to it. And so I decided that I needed to be more committed in terms of, one, doing the Panchakarma on a regular basis. And then over time, I've actually added more time to it. So initially you can do a week, and that is very helpful in terms of a cleanse. But if you want to actually get into more of a rejuvenation phase, often you have to go for 2 to 3 weeks. And that's where going to India is actually beneficial, because they are set up to do that. And honestly, the cost is about half of what it is here in the United States. So that combination, plus my ability to get off the grid, so to speak, really has helped me to understand the full benefits of what the cleanse can do, because ultimately it had an impact at me at the mental, emotional, spiritual level more and more as time went on. And I found myself being able to resolve issues and work through issues much more quickly, mentally and emotionally, in terms of either tribe issues or family issues or personal issues, so that they no longer interfered with my level of wanting to expand my own sense of purpose and what direction I wanted to go in my life. So I really felt like it was really surprising me as to what was possible. And actually, once I got to the place of the rejuvenation phase, I was feeling younger, I had more vigor, and really have enhanced my quality of life as the years have gone by.
Well, yeah, because you say in your book it changed you on a cellular level. This is not just like a juice cleanse. Not that there's anything wrong with a juice cleanse. I'm not putting it down, but people go through the fads, the juice cleanses and everything. So there's something really powerful about it because you said it's not only the body that gets shifts. It's also your emotional and your spiritual too. So to me, that sounds really very powerful. And I know you said earlier you don't have to go to India to do a Panchakarma cleanse. So how would I know if I'm a good candidate for a cleanse? Is everyone a good candidate for a cleanse?
So not everyone is. There are some barriers. An example would be if you are having some active bleeding somewhere and you actually are in a crisis, a medical crisis. Most of the time you need to be somewhat stable, whatever that chronic illness is, before you can actually experience the change. They will not treat a person that's in active cancer treatment. But they can help support the process in terms of either before or after cancer treatment. And a lot of times, and I had my mother, bless her soul, she's now passed, but she suffered from lung cancer, and the treatment was really very, very difficult, including incredible constipation. And they actually have tools that can help support so the person doesn't have to suffer that way. And so there is a way to coordinate care, but the actual Panchakarma, you need to have a fairly strong constitution and some prep time, easily 2 to 3 months beforehand, to be ready and so that the body is prepared for the cleanse, because there is a releasing that happens in the cleanse on the 6th and 7th day that can be a very strong release and can be taxing if you're feeling quite weak for one reason or another. So there are some diseases that have, but it's also where you are mentally and emotionally. You have to be prepared to be allowing the process to even happen. So there is a prep process that's involved. And but that said, as I speak in the book, there are different tools and different procedures that can be done that you don't have to do Panchakarma. For example, there's a technique where they take heated, warm sesame oil and they put it on your third eye, and they allow that to actually go across the forehead for about 10 to 15 minutes, sometimes up to 20, and that is very, very calming to the nervous system. That you can do as a one-off. You don't need to have had any other interventions, okay?
Right.
So there are several interventions within the book that I mentioned that can actually be used separate from the 7-day ritual that I describe in the book.
Okay, so you go through in the book and you describe the 7-day ritual, and obviously the more I'm learning about it, you need to work with a Ayurvedic practitioner to do the full Panchakarma cleanse. It's not something that you can do at home, but you do offer things in the book, tools that we can do at home to help us in easing some of this. And you talk about some toxins that we're all exposed to on a regular basis. So, like, what toxins should we really kind of be concerned about, and what can we do, to avoid it, or not allow them into our system if we can help it?
Yeah, so I actually have a quiz in my book, and I'll just share a little bit about that. And what I ask is, what are the toxins that are weighing you down? And we have to remember, it's not just our unhealthy foods or the too much alcohol or the pollution in our environment. It can be our dark thoughts, our negative feelings.
Definitely.
Unhealthy foods, if we're eating fast food every day or processed food, all those things can actually have a huge impact on your well-being. An example I ask is, what's the percentage of your thoughts that are negative in any given day? And then how is it influencing you? And then how much of the food that you eat every day is either processed, deep fried, or out of a box? Are you drinking alcohol in excess? Do you use recreational drugs? And are you doing it to numb out? And then how much time are you spending on electronics? I mean, one of the challenges we have these days, especially with COVID, Many of us are stuck on our computers much more than we need to, and that impacts us and can create us feeling unsettled inside. And so, especially, with the nighttime regimen, I've seen too many kids that want to stay on their electronics late into the night and then they don't sleep. And setting limits around, self-care is one of the things that is so important these days. Other things like the air pollution in your city, that can impact you. And then I know many people, especially with all the stuff that went on in the last few years, were watching and were listening to the news almost all the time, or even having it in the background. And so it's really like, what can you do to make changes so that when you are in your home, that it is a positive, loving situation, especially, for example, no electronics during dinner time. And that includes even if you live alone, because that impacts your capacity to connect with each other. So the idea is, what are you doing on a day-to-day basis that is impacting your body at all these different levels? And that, to me, is really important to understand that we need to disconnect and self-care in a way that we struggle with because there's so many demands on our time and energy. And,
Yeah, I love that you talk about your thoughts, because that's where I spend a lot of my time. That's what I write about a lot. That's what, where I focus a lot of my energy. And I do notice that, like I was saying, that this past, because whatever's going on, something's going on with me. And I've noticed it's really easy to start getting into that negative mind chatter, especially when your physical health is not well. So it's really important. So I'm glad that you talk a lot about that in the book, and something that we need to be super aware of. And when it comes to like the foods and the toxins, people right now are doing whatever they can just to get through the days. So I'm sure we're eating a lot more processed food. We're probably eating more fast food than we normally do, so being aware of that. Like you talk about food as medicine. So what should we be eating right now that will be beneficial to our health?
So more vegetables. And using healthy oils, and either, and putting the oil on the vegetables at the end of the cooking, or cooking or lightly braising the vegetables with the oil, or baking with the oil. It's really important that we actually add healthy oil into our diet, because that actually helps to support all our body and our cells. And having healthy oils as a part of your day-to-day actually helps to reduce problems with constipation, for example, can actually help support digestion of the food that you're eating. Raw food should be limited.
Should be limited. Food, interesting. Yes, okay. Yes. Okay.
And maybe less so coming into the spring and summer, but certainly in the winter and fall, having more cooked food and lightly steamed food with some olive oil or whatever your favorite oil is important. Now, certain oils are better than others.
I was going to ask you for a follow-up. Which oils do you recommend?
So sesame oil and olive oil, avocado oil, all those are really good oils. And thinking about the top 3 or 4 foods that you eat, and thinking about putting them in the organic category. I know it's hard to do 100% organic, but the really reducing the exposure of pesticides for you and your children is so important, and can be really helpful. And so those are some simple things. Having your biggest meal typically during the day and not too much in the evening is another tool that can actually be really supportive for you. And limiting the amount of meat that you eat, so that it isn't like every meal doesn't need to be meat-centric, but and then also thinking of the quality of the meat that you're eating too. So that, and then adding some level of awareness and love into the food that you're preparing, that actually helps too in terms of the quality of the digestion that every person has. There was a great movie years ago called Water for Chocolate, And
I love that movie so much.
Right.
I love that movie so much. I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and her emotions came through in the food, for better or for worse. And they really made it very dramatic, but we need to understand that whoever is preparing our food, their energy actually goes into that food and impacts us. So at the very least, saying your own prayer over your food can help neutralize some of that. So those are just small things that one can do in terms of self-care, no matter where you are, because I know people are starting to travel again, and choices can be limited. But really limiting the amount of deep-fried food is also out and about is so important, because the type of vegetable oil is actually a very fake oil and is very toxic to our body and causes all kinds of inflammation in the body. So if you're going to have deep fried, it's best to do it at home so you know what kind of oil you're using.
Yeah, that's important.
So those are just some small tips. And then there's many herbs, such as cilantro and ginger, that you can add to the food that help to either mitigate the food a little bit so it's not so difficult for you to digest. I wanted to mention about the power of ghee, too. Ghee is clarified butter. And is very supportive for the body in small doses, and can be really useful, again, like the other oils, in terms of creating the body to be more lubricated at many levels. So that
I love that. I see ghee all the time at the market, and I'm always like, I've heard some wonderful things about it. What do you think about coconut oil, extra virgin organic coconut oil?
Coconut oil in small doses I think is good. The challenge, and it all depends on that person, but yes, coconut oil is actually very supportive as well, and I often use it. It's actually a great combination to add when you braise vegetables, a little bit of olive oil and the coconut oil.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to, I don't mean to cut you off, but we're at the next break time. So let's take our break now, and then we'll continue our conversation. Stay tuned.
Right.
It's very interesting stuff.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. OMTimes Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. OMTimes, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
Imagine yourself being transported to India, to the banks of the Ganga and an ashram in Rishikesh. Visualize that you are welcome to satsang with an American sannyasi who shares the wisdom of her guru. Your visualization has manifested. Join Sattvi Bhagawati Saraswati for inspiration and transformation every Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, I'm Melisa Caprio from Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave. Do you believe in magic? What if I told you all you had to do was get a little creative and work a dream spell to bring anything you can imagine into your life? Well, guess what? I've got the spell for you. Postcards to the Universe, a global movement for manifestation, is a casting magical tool for you to use whenever you want. How does living in passion sound to you? Join me in my movement where you get to create in the magical playground. Let's think outside the box and do some playful conjuring. By casting out our desires with a manifesting postcard, we explore our hearts and allow the alchemy of our dreams to appear. And don't forget to tune in each week here on OMTimes Radio with my show, Postcards to the Universe, creating the life you crave at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I share tips on creativity, abundance, and prosperity, and you will be introduced to the coolest guests, trailblazers, mystics, and creatives who enrich our lives.
Coping-19, brought to you by CDC and the Ad Council.
If you're feeling increasingly lonely right now, you're not alone. It's totally normal. Even though we may not be able to get together in person, connecting virtually with friends and family still gives you a chance to interact with people and may help raise your spirits. Join a virtual book club, set up group text chats, or online video coffee breaks with coworkers.
Find more self-care and coping tips at coping-19.org.
Welcome back, Judith. It's really interesting. I was thinking about when during the break, I'm doing pretty good with the foods because I eat a lot of greens and I always buy organic and I love olive oil and so I don't eat a lot of meat. I've never been a big meat eater. And I just bought an air fryer, so I'm going to try braising with oil and trying something different. So that's good. And you mentioned something where you said that you wish that you could get in the habit of eating more of what? Is it greens? Is it vegetables that we don't eat enough of here in our Western society?
I would say, vegetables and greens in general is a bit of a challenge for us. Certainly healthy, organic fruits, again, the top two that you would like. It's good to add that. That old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That really helps, with constipation issues oftentimes. So it's the day-to-day rituals that are so important, whether you do Panchakarma or not, that improves the quality of our life in just so many ways. And even before I was exposed to Panchakarma, I could tell when people made significant lifestyle changes in terms of self-care that their life improved markedly. And so that's actually... but what's beautiful about Ayurveda is they really talk about food is medicine, but it's not just food. It is what we bring into all our senses, not into just our mouth. And that food really needs to be nourishing to us. So watching graphic violence actually is very, very hard on the mind and can create undue impressions. An example is I work with kids, and they can have nightmares from watching, a scary movie for a very long time. And we're no different, but we kind of mask it and put it away. So it's so important about what is it that we're giving to our senses. And is it there's a word, an Ayurvedic word they call, or a Sanskrit word called sattvic. Is it healthy and pure enough for your any of your senses, that what you're choosing to expose your senses to? And that's what's so important for us, that really will support us at so many different levels. I just wanted to mention, so food is medicine, and our daily habits can help prevent disease as time goes on. And you can also receive lifestyle prescriptions that are specific to your dosha through the help of an Ayurvedic practitioner. So all these tools are available, and that's the piece that I wanted to stress too, is that it's a very personalized approach in terms of care, and that's the beauty of what I see Ayurveda offering. I also wanted to mention that the first dosha that I mentioned, the Vata dosha, is the one that is most often imbalanced for us as a culture, partly because of the pace of life that we keep. And often the symptoms are as follows. Physical is constipation, dry skin, intestinal gas, intolerance to cold, irritable bowels. Behaviorally, we can have problems with sleep, insomnia, restlessness, low appetite, not able to relax. Mental is worry, anxiety, short attention span, impatience, overactive mind. And so some of the tools that I'll be introducing at Build a Better Morning will actually help calm those interventions. But we've already talked about some tools that can be really helpful today for people, whether they come or not to that workshop. But the beauty of it is that there would be some active discussion, because it is an interactive workshop that I'm offering too.
Yeah, it sounds really, really good. And just FYI for you guys listening, she is giving $25 off if you apply the promo code Postcards 2021. Oh my God, 2021 for listening to the show. There's something that you wrote that I saw in your notes, and I really thought you said that since you've been in India in 2014, you've been able to sustain certain practices in your Western life. So what have you done that's helped you the most?
I would say, actually, there's several, but the ones that I've noticed that are like the small mini support for myself is, believe it or not, something called scraping your tongue. And what you do is there's a metal, stainless steel tongue scraper you can get on Amazon, and there's a few other places. But what it does is it actually takes off that morning ama, is what they call it, or the toxins from your sleep at night. And it really improves your breath. It helps stimulate digestion. And it's just really, really nice, clean feeling that happens as a result. And then I used to have challenges with sinus issues, and using the neti pot as needed, which is taking saline, warm saline, and then irrigating both sides of your nostrils, which I would be demonstrating actually at the program. That has helped, as well as using some specific oil, nasal oil, that has helped lubricate my sinuses and my nose so that I am preventing any future challenges, be it with allergies or with sinus issues. So those are probably the two things. And then I have a meditation practice and yoga practice that I have sustained too more and more as the years have gone by.
Is that like a before you brush your teeth kind of thing now? Your tongue scraping?
Yes, that I do that first thing on awakening. Yes,
first thing in awakening. Yeah, I was reading about that when I was reading some things about it, and I've heard of that before, but I've never done it. So maybe it's something I can do at home.
Right. Yeah, it's a mini cleanse that happens as a result of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about in the book too about using the oils. They use a lot of oils that are very specific to healing. In the Panchakarma cleanse, one of the oils, I don't know if I'm going to say it right, it's Shiradhara.
The Shiradhara.
Shiradhara. Okay, so what is that? Is that the heated oil that they do on your head, or that you were talking about that we can do? Okay.
Right. So that one is typically done by a practitioner, and that is often offered in a spa. In almost any setting. I know that I can go to a couple places here in town that's not affiliated with an Ayurvedic clinic, and you can get that done. And it's very, very soothing and very, very calming to the nervous system. It is, if you've never experienced meditation, oftentimes you would then have that experience because it's very similar to whatever your meditation practice is. So it's very calming. And it's something that can be done on a regular basis, depending on what's going on, and is very soothing to the nervous system.
Okay, and that is the one they do on your forehead for 15 or 20 minutes, or is that a massage? They use that for massage. Okay, because I also know that they have some colon. They do a lot of colon cleanses, and I was reading about, and they use certain oils for that. But you would obviously have to do that with a practitioner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right.
There's something called a basti that would be an internal oil application, and that is actually incredibly powerful. And as I mentioned earlier about a person that's suffering from treatment, that is an excellent tool to really support one's healing during that time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. I mean, if you just think about how you feel after, if you do get have regular healthy bowel movements, how much relief you feel after you go to the bathroom. So I can imagine, it would be. It would be.
Yes. But the other thing is it's actually delivering nurturing oils, and that is absorbed by the colon, that is delivered to the tissues at large. And so it's not just about helping pull, the out of the colon, waste, what needs to be pulled, the waste product, but it also allows for nutrients to be absorbed, and it's a way to actually give nutrition to a body that maybe isn't able to absorb through the stomach anymore.
Okay, yeah. And one of the things that you mentioned, and I thought this was really interesting, you were talking about how in your book, Cleanse Your Body, Reveal Your Soul, how working and doing this kind of cleansing is faster and more, you even said this specifically, faster and more sustainable than 10 years of therapy, which I thought was a really powerful statement. So can you share why that is?
Sure. So, I am a psychiatrist and I offer therapy to people.
Right. That's why I know this is a powerful statement for you to say.
Yeah.
Right.
So for me personally, as I mentioned, it actually goes to places that doesn't require me to review or talk about things. I often have had crying spells on the table, and it had a huge emotional release, but I found that I didn't actually need to talk about it. It was sufficient to have just had that release. And it was precipitated by the depth of the cleanse, which is progressive over every day, through the several days. And yes, I can sit down and maybe write about it. In fact, that's when I noticed that it seemed to be impacting my chakras at one point. And I was really surprised because I noticed that I was releasing issues around tribal concerns and also family concerns that were really long-standing in my life. And they no longer were coloring my daily or that underlying unconscious process that can complicate your life. I could have a different relationship with different family members, especially, for example, my mother, in a way that I struggled with for years, to the point where when she did pass, I was actually in a really good space with her at so many levels, which I know many of us struggle with our parents around that. And I was so grateful that I had that ability to move through what I needed to, even before she passed. And I felt like we were in a really good space when she passed. And I found that to be a gift, a surprise gift for myself through all this. And it was very powerful.
That is very powerful. In fact, you could probably do your second, look at me telling you about your next book. You could do your next book right around that, because do you know how many people there's always a family dynamic somewhere where there's something with somebody. I mean, there's nobody I know who doesn't have it. Just that in and of itself alone would be like worth the cleanse. Right?
I know. Right. Yeah. So let me briefly mention that one description I mentioned in the book is that Panchakarma is like a window cleaning that to all our cells, and it impacts our chakras at the end, because once we get our cells cleaned, we can actually interface and interact with our energetic body more easily, and we can then move into a different state of being as a result. And that's the part that I'm finding pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I love that because we need that, especially after the last so many years of everything that we've been fed, on a continuous level that has been nothing but trauma and stress. And I really do think that we've become oversensitive to certain things because we're just getting bombarded. It's too much. I don't even watch.
Yes. I wanted to mention that the cleanse allows the body to return to a level of equilibrium and homeostasis, and it allows for the innate intelligence that is present in our body to resume. All the layers of the body are nourished when the dosha balance is present, and it aids in the flow of the nutrition that needs to happen at all these different levels. There's health and harmony and coordination that's present in all areas of our life. And I'm finding from that space that health and happiness is possible.
Yeah, so for you guys who are interested.
And when this shift happens, the senses, our mind, our soul. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. And if you mention that you're listening, on the show and you put Postcards 2021, you'll get a discount. I'm sorry, did you cut? Maybe you cut out for a second. I didn't hear you. Go ahead. Finish what you wanted to say.
I just wanted to say that when the shifts happen through this process, our senses, our mind, and our soul are nourished at a very, very deep level with the process of Panchakarma.
That sounds so interesting. And like I said, after I have your website up, I'm going to take the Dosha quiz because I want to see where I'm at. I have a feeling, I think I know where I am, but I'm curious to see when I do the questions. Is there anything else that you want to share with us, Judith? It's been so great. This is so fascinating to me and so interesting. So anything else that we should know?
No, other than it. Self-care is so important, and coming from a place of compassion is equally important in making these lifestyle decisions. So if it's not about I'm not asking you to punish yourself or be critical. It's more about what can I do and that is life-affirming and life-supporting today. And it can be just one small thing. It doesn't have to be a host of things. And those small steps can make a huge difference in the quality of your life and your mental well-being.
Yes, absolutely. And check out your book, of course. Cleanse your body, reveal your soul. Say this right, Melissa. Reveal your soul.
Thank you.
And you can get that, I'm assuming, on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online until we get back in bookstores. Target. Good. That's great. I love that.
It's online at Target. And then also Bookworks, which is a local bookstore I'd like to mention. They've been very supportive for me as well.
Yay, that's great. Well, thank you so much, Judith, for being here. It was so wonderful to connect with you again. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for listening to Postcards to the Universe with Melissa, creating the life you crave, wishing everyone a wonderful week filled with joy, abundance, love, health, and peace out. See you next week.